Communications. Ruben in New Jersey on line one. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, I want to talk about Trump's first 100 days. It's amazing how he's following Project 2025 to a T. Oh, wait, I forgot. He knows nothing about that. It must be coincidental, right?
Well, actually, I think he's following my book pretty closely. I don't know very much about Project 2025. And in fact, when I wrote my book, I hadn't even heard of it yet. But the agenda, what Trump should do in his first 100 days, is still available on Amazon. And surprisingly, to me anyway, I think Trump followed most of its.
Double your sales.
You can do more than that. In fact, you can write a nice review for me on Amazon.com. But the most important thing isn't how widely something is read; it's who reads it. And I happen to know that it is read by senior White House officials. So I think you would learn something about the Trump administration if you bought it, and it would probably double your education. How about that? I'll take the jibe at my sales figures if you'll take the jibe at your intelligence.
Trump said he's done 200 trade deals. That's pretty impressive. Could you tell us more about the 200 trade deals?
I hadn't heard that he had said that. I think he said he had 200 negotiating process. No,
Thursday or Friday.
No. He said that he had been approached. No, he said that he had been approached by 200 countries, or that he was working on 200, and it might have been hyperbole because they asked the White House about it and they said, no, we've got 18 things going on right now. But, he's got tariff. Hey, you know what? You should listen once in a while. You call this program often. You pretend to be someone you aren't. So you have some experience in lies and deception. No. You cannot.
Mark my words. The first trade deal he announces will be South Korea. Because there are no tariffs with them. But MAGA people are too dumb to know that.
Do you know what MAGA people do for you? They fight to defend your country. They go to work every day, unlike you. They pay taxes. They pay taxes. They raise families. And you might not like them, and you might wish them to disappear or die, or as you wished during the election for Trump to be raped in prison, something you've never lived down and won't live down as long as you keep calling this program. But one thing that they do that you don't is, generally speaking, MAGA people are kind to those they disagree with. And it's been a kind of universal.
January 6th.
See, exactly what you just did is proving my point. You interrupt because you're not here to have a discussion. You interrupt because you like hearing the sound of your own voice. You record every conversation you have when you call a conservative radio station, and it becomes a kind of fantasy for you. You post it on YouTube, you post it online, and even if you get completely owned by the host, you add a caption that describes how well you did. This is some kind of fantasy for you, and I understand that. So I'm indulging it a little bit because I do think people deserve to have their fantasies fulfilled once in a while. I don't know why you'd want to talk to me as your fantasy, but, I'm here for you.
Where's your psychology degree from?
But what you don't understand is that the other half of the country that gets up in the morning and goes to work and pays taxes for your public services and defends your freedom to come on my show and act like a jerk, that they actually care more about you than you do about them. And
do you think you can get my number traced and then turn it over to Trump so they could disappear me?
I think you'd like that fantasy, another fantasy that Trump would actually take any interest in you. But why don't you?
Or is it actually happening?
I don't know. Why don't you think about that for a while? You can replay this audio over and over again and fantasize about yourself as a victim of Trump's FBI or something.
You think he could do a Chris Krebs?
The idea that Trump has not yet reached where he wants to go in terms of trade is one that I accept. I think that's a valid criticism, and I said it myself at the start of the show. I do think that he has yet to score the achievements he's wanted in foreign policy. He's yet to show that his trade policy is going to work. But I think even you would agree that in the first 100 days, Trump has shut down the illegal crossings of the border and has done so in a way that makes the Biden administration's claims that it couldn't do so and didn't have the power to do so simply ridiculous. I mean, would you not agree that Trump has fulfilled his number one promise, which was to shut down the flow of illegal migrants across our southern border.
Even a complete moron can do something right. So congrats to Donnie. Hey,
okay, so you would agree that Donald Trump has achieved his most important campaign promise. Well, there you go. So there's common ground there. So you can. Thank you for that admission, and thank you for that admission. I think that's something. Maybe we could even turn that into a headline. Inveterate pervert who wished Trump to be raped calls show and admits that he is doing a great job on the border. Now. Given that Trump is doing so well on the border, wouldn't it be interesting to you to look at some of his other successes? So, for example, he's gone after anti-Semitism at American universities in a way that the Biden administration never did. He has encouraged many of these universities and companies to get rid of or to review their DEI policies, which is something many Americans are happy about. I think he's achieved a lot for his priorities. He's also kept transgender men out of women's sports. He has done incredible things.
The biological men in women's sports is key. That happened at least 3 times the past 10 years. I mean, it's very important.
Let me ask you a question. I hope I'm not getting too personal here, but which women's sport do you play?
It's funny that you ask, because for 25 years I was an NCAA official. I'm not going to say the sport. But I ref both men's and women's. I did a zillion more men's games, but tons and tons of women's games. Do you know how many biological men I ran into in women's sports that I officiated?
How
many do you think, Joel? How many?
Tell me.
It's less than 1.
Do you think that males should be allowed to participate in female sports?
And I live in a blue
Do you think that men should be allowed to compete against women? Do you think that men should be allowed to compete against women?
No, it's a travesty. The whole Leah Thomas thing's ridiculous.
So Donald Trump has achieved something for you as well. I think this is fantastic. I can feel the healing already. I think this is wonderful. This has actually been an incredible revelation. And
I have a better chance.
I'm grateful to you for your service as an NCAA referee in whatever sport it was. Maybe it was chess or something.
Are you concerned with shark attacks?
Am I concerned with shark attacks?
It's more common to be attacked by a shark than it is to see a biological male in a woman's sport. Shark attacks are happening everywhere.
When Trump signed that executive order at the White House and he had female athletes surrounding him, including some who had been Democrats and had voted for Democrats their entire lives.
And you wouldn't want to go to the White House and get on camera.
Do you think that someone who disagrees with Trump on that issue is going to go to the White House and just stand behind him smiling in her
90% of the country agrees with Trump on that.
Well, there you go. He's doing what 90% of the country wants him to do. You agree with me again. You agree with me again. Trump is doing a fantastic job when it comes to protecting women's rights. Great.
Maybe
you have any other complaints?
Maybe you can tackle shark attacks next. Shark attacks are happening everywhere. In fact, they're coming in too. We have to crack down on shark attacks.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm sure you'll volunteer for that noble effort. You'll go out there and deal with that. But speaking of marine wildlife, he's also protected American fisheries. So even there, you're onto something. Donald Trump has issued executive orders.
Fried fish sandwich.
I don't know. But this is great. You agree with me on the border. You agree with me that Trump's doing a great job on getting biological males out of women's sports. And you didn't say much about Trump and anti-Semitism, but he's certainly doing much more than Joe Biden ever did to fight anti-Semitism at America's universities. He's done a great job. You agree with me? Great. Well, listen. What's your complaint? What is your complaint? You agree with me on every single point.
Other than hiring,
is this just another fantasy? You're going to replay this? I know you're going to go back and replay this. What a brilliant man you are to call up here and talk about something other than your prison rape fantasies. But you know what? I'm glad you called because what happens? Well, you help me a lot because what happens is when people hear you, they like calling in and responding to what you say. And that's why, even though we know that you're a liar who fakes his number and his name, we always have you on here. You were kind of quiet after Trump won. You kind of hid under your rock again for a few months. You didn't come out. I was concerned about you. I actually said it on the air. I hope nothing bad happened to you, but you're back now, and it's great because we're gonna get. You were in mourning. Well, I'm glad you're over your grief. I can feel the healing already, and I think no, I actually observed the Jewish Sabbath. It might surprise you to learn, and I don't listen to whatever. I don't listen to your paranoid fantasies on Saturdays. That's my day off. But I thank you for calling so much, Ruben from New Jersey. I hope you call back in again, and you can replay 2 clips from this show, and we'll get even more people to respond. Our number is 866-957-2874, 866-95-PATRIOT.